All righty, guys. It is Rick, and it is Monday. And this is an exciting week because I know you all have a million things going on, and probably honestly, tuning into me is probably a little bit low on your list. But if you want to learn how to get your wholesaling on fast track and come up with an actionable 30-day plan, this is what we're talking about today. So, guys, I'm going to be on as long as you guys have questions. As long as I can provide you value, I can provide you answers. My name is Rick Ginn. I've been wholesaling over 20 years plus. I actually love this business. I've never stopped doing it. I did it long before it was ever popular on the internet, and I am still doing it. And I have the pleasure and the honor of doing it with my son, Zach. You guys know him. And I am on here today, number one, is because we want to give you guys more access to us. So our favorite thing is to interact with you guys. So if you guys want to do a one-on-one and you want to do the mastermind call, then I am going to put up the link for you. Let me see if I put it up yet. It's in the comment section on, I believe, the second to the top comment. Actually, the top comment, it's pinned up there. Just click that link and then you can join on a one-on-one. I do it first come, first serve. So the sooner you hop on, the better assurance you're going to get on there. And it's really cool, guys. You don't have to put your mugshot up there. You don't have to do video. You can actually do audio. And remember, the only question that you don't ask is probably the one that you should ask. So I don't care if you've never done a deal before, if you've done thousands, if you want to talk about wholesaling, this is the place to do. So today we are talking about the 30-day action plan to really jumpstart your wholesaling. So guys, use the comments. Use the comments to ask your questions. You can put on there. I try to answer them as we go along. And I take probably the first 20 minutes to go over the topic today, which is the action plan. And then at the top of the comment section, there is a link. You can click that. If you want to do the one-on-one, it's a first come, first serve basis. And the really cool part is we do it all for free. So guys, jump on, take advantage of it. And if you go, hey man, who is this guy? What the heck is he talking about? I think they're a little bit nuts. I want you to go over to freewholesaling.com. And then this is where me and my son have put a course together. Don't freak out when you hear the word course. It's 100% free. We teach you how to get started in wholesaling to get your first deal. Not only your first deal, get you to your first 100K so you don't have to navigate through the landmines of gurus and fake gurus and all these other people. It's so hard to tell who's authentic in this business and who does it. So me and Zach have taken the lead charge and we just give it to you 100% for free. So like a lot of the other guys, they'll give you some free content, just a little bit. They'll do a live, but they can't really say anything because all their paid information is behind their course, which you have to pay for. And heck, it's the American way. I don't fault them for it. But guys, you guys got to get brighter on this. You do not need a complicated guru to explain wholesaling for you. It's actually super simple. It's me and it's you that complicate it. And if you stick through me on this live, I'll show you exactly how to do it. We're going to start today all in how to jumpstart your action plan to get a deal within 30 days. And guys, I'm going to use the exact plan I did. I'm going to use the exact plan I use with my employees. And I'm going to use the exact plan I use with hundreds of thousands of you guys, because I'm telling you, wholesaling is simple. Us humans make it super, super complicated. So also in the comment section, let me know which market you're from. And, why not make a new friend today? Find somebody in there. You guys have a lot of the similar questions. You've got the same passions. Just make sure you vet anyone you're going to do business with. So sorry about my scratchy voice today. It's just one of those things going around. I actually feel fine, just a little bit harder to talk. So let's jump into it. So awesome. Okay, so people are coming on here. So we're talking about how to fast track your wholesaling success to get a deal within your 30-day action plan. And I'm here to tell you, as I always tell you guys, wholesaling it's really simple. We just make it hard because you're trying to filter everything through your lenses. And if your lenses are broke, which a lot of your lenses are broke, you have to start over and you just got to take off the old lenses, because if you try to interpret if you try to interpret wholesaling through your broken lenses, meaning the way your personality does stuff, aka meaning you pick and only choose the things that make you happy and you don't do the things that make you uncomfortable, you will never make it in wholesaling. And honestly, it's probably the number one problem why people fail in wholesaling is they don't want to do the work that's in front of them. And me and Zach have never told anyone it was going to be like super easy. It's simple, but you have to take the steps. If you skip steps, you will have pain and it'll be longer to getting to your first deal. So let's jump into it. The really cool thing about like what we do with doing everything for free is we could just tell you the truth because there's nothing to hide behind. Like, why not just tell you the exact way it is? So I'm going to walk you through this. If you pay attention, I promise you, you will get something out of this. So we're talking all about fast tracking. So the first thing you've got to understand, the biggest question everyone's going to have is, hey, Rick, how do I create a plan? And recognizing that you need a plan is the first step in becoming successful in this venture. So those who don't have a plan and just go wing it, I can almost guarantee you what the end result's going to be. It's going to be a disaster. You can't just wing it. You are running a business, unless you want to run a hobby, you can do it like a hobby. But if you want to run like a business, you've got to formulate a simple business plan. Don't complicate it, but you got to have a plan going forward. So if you think about all the greats, all the great military leaders, all the greatest athletes in the world, the greatest teams, the greatest leaders, the greatest presidents, I mean, the greatest queens, kings, whatever you want to, they all had a plan. They had a plan to get to their victory. And while a lot of them made it, a lot of them didn't make it. But I guarantee you this one thing, every one of them had a plan. And if you don't have a plan, I guarantee you will not make it in wholesaling. So the really cool thing is the plan's easy. The difference is having a plan and sticking to it. Okay. There's no point also in formulating a plan if you're going to do nothing with it. That's what really drives me nuts in this business, and you've got to understand it. So a plan has to be a culmination of basically at least 3, if not 4 things, in my opinion. And I'm going to put them up here on the screen so you don't have to write it down. So number 1, it has to have a timestamp on it. Is it a 30-day plan? Is it a 90-day plan? Is it a 1-year plan? Is it a 5 years? Is it a 10-year plan? Every plan has to have a timeline on it because it's not actionable if you can't take a timeline on it. So for today's reference, we're using basically 30 days. So we call this the 30-day action wholesaling plan. Guys, as simple as that sounds, if you don't put a date on your plan, how are you going to execute it? And how will you know when you actually reach it? The truth is you won't do it. So first thing I'm going to do is set a time. So in this example, we're setting 30 days. The second one, we talk about money. How much money is this going to cost me to put this plan in place? Now, a lot of what we're going to show you today is free. Some of it is paid. It's going to be a combo of both. So recognize which category you fall in. If you don't have any money for wholesaling, you're going to have to stick to all the free techniques I teach you today until you get a deal so you can switch over to the paid ones. So I couldn't do this plan for the hundreds of thousands of people that view this. So I'm going to give you a general plan. I'm going to give you free, and I'm going to give you the paid version. And most people use a combo of both. By the way, I still use the free version because that's where my most highly motivated leads come from. So don't ignore it, even if you have money, because we're looking for good real estate deals. Okay. The next one is a budget. A budget is just a breakdown of, so if you had $10,000 to spend for the year, you would break it down per month on how much you could spend. You could either do it per quarter, per year, biannually, however you want to do it. I like to break it down per month because it keeps me consistent on a plan. So once we have the amount of money, we have the budget. And then the next part, in my opinion, which is part of the budget, is you have to schedule it out. And scheduling is the action part of you actually putting your plan into motion. And that's the real difference over what you want to do. And that's what you got to understand when doing any type of action plan on it. So guys, we have the time, 30-day. We have the amount of money. It could be 0. It could be as much as $10,000 a month. You insert your number you want to do there. Then you come up and you use that as your total budget for the year. And then you're going to allocate your scheduling for it. And it's really that simple as far as getting the plan started. Now, the next part is we have to put lists together. No matter what, I've never done wholesaling without lists. It doesn't matter if you get the most expensive royalty list in the world or you get them free through your government list. The bottom line is you are going to get lists no matter what you do. Hold on one second. I had to get somebody's attention. So the first one is driving for dollars. I love driving for dollars. The really cool thing, it's free. It's easy. Just go out and look for ugly houses. You should always incorporate this strategy because it works really well. The next one is your reverse driving for dollars. These are the lists that you're going to collect that you're going to go out and put sticky notes on the door. The lists that work best for this are off your government list are most likely going to be your pre-foreclosures. You can do probates with them, but you got to use the probate letter when you do it. And you can use any type of like eviction list or anything like that. Also, the tax delinquency is wonderful. So I'll go in a little bit further depth on it because I'm losing my voice. The next one is, you guys know, you already know this one, they're government list. And the really cool thing about government lists is they're free. Like they don't cost any money at all. Okay. We got that fixed. And we got rid of the spam. Thank you. So your government lists are basically derived at your courthouse. They're going to be the pre-foreclosures, the probates, the eviction list, the tax delinquency list, your divorce list. You can go in the utility departments, although it's not derived at the courthouse, and get your water shutoffs. And then you can reach out to your fire department for any fire damaged houses. I love these lists, especially in anything of a short action plan, usually 30 days or less, because they're the highest motivation. They're free. And to me, it's the fastest way to get a wholesale deal. End of story. The next part of your list are the paid lists. And your paid lists are going to be nothing other than more than services that you use. So me and Zach, we mostly use PropStream and Batch, and you use reilist.com or ZachData.com. They're going to cost you a little bit of money, but they're within $100, guys. It's much cheaper an employee, and you get 10,000 leads with that. And if you want to do it that way and you got a little bit of money, it is the most efficient way to get through it. It'll also help you in your skip traces through the ZachData.com. But that's the difference between your paid and your government lists. Now, my recommendation is if you can afford to do it, use a combo of the both. It's not required, but it will definitely push your plan, your action plan faster, because you'll have a lot more leads, because getting those 10,000 per month every month should be factored into your scheduling of your plan. So for that reason, do both. Guys, you just don't have to do one, I promise you. So how are we going to deliver on this? How are we going to deliver our message? So once we have your list, the list is our basically target prospects of people that are going to be in a likely probability of looking to sell us a property. So now you just have to decide how you're going to deliver your marketing message. So I call this your median, your marketing median. I'll put it up on the screen here so you understand. And so your median is basically, the first one we talked about was reverse driving for dollars. This is the art of taking like a pre-foreclosure list or a tax delinquency list and taking one of those. Do I have one here? No. Taking one of those little sticky notes and putting it on the door and say, hey, this is Rick. Got a quick question about your house. And I'm going to put my virtual phone number, and that's it. If I go out and stick 50 notes on a door, I can usually get 3 to 7 people calling me back. And from those people, I'll try to strike up a conversation to set an additional appointment and go out and write them a contract on the property. Why do we do this technique? Because it's highly efficient. I only talk to the people that want to talk to me. And with the advent of Ring doorbell cameras, aggressive dogs, and a lot of laws outlawing you knocking on the door, reverse driving for dollars fits perfectly. It has a high success rate because it's very personalized. Now, it's going to take some energy, but I'm telling you, it works really, really well. The next one is cold calling, which is going to be what most of you fall into. And cold calling is just the art of reaching out to the homeowner. So A prerequisite for all cold calling is you have to skip trace. If you want to learn how to skip trace, go over to zachdata.com. That is a paid service we use for it, or you can do it manually. It's going to take you a little bit more time. You can use truepeoplesearch.com. Remember, we're talking about paid services and free services to be inclusive of everybody on this list, because this is not about if you have money to get on a fast track deal in 30 days. The question is, are you going to take the energy, the action to get this stuff done? So cold calling, and guys, cold calling is just mechanical. If you say, I'm scared of cold calling, you need to look deeper and see what you're really scared of. If you're scared of making money, of bettering your life, and writing the rules the way you want to, then I don't know why you'd be scared of cold calling. So I had the fear of cold calling initially when I did it too. And once you sit down and realize it's the anxiety of the call that is worse than the actual call, it will change your mindset and how it works. The reason I like it, it's very fast and efficient. You don't have to get in your car. You connect directly with the seller. There's no middleman. There's no real estate agent. And if they want to do a deal with you, you can usually strike a decent deal. Now, you're going to get rejected more than accepted on a cold call. You just have to accept that. If you can't handle that fact, you're probably not going to be good at wholesaling. And I'm just telling you the truth. So if you don't like cold calling, try to find a partner that's really strong that likes cold calling. That's how me and my son paired up in our businesses, because I never touched it before that. So I'm just not the cold calling type. The other one is SMS. Now, this one is dynamite for you one-people operators. I was a single operator for my first 7 years, and understanding this is just a text application. Once you have their phone number, you can send them a cute message. You got to mix it up a lot because the carriers are starting to block more of these texts and tagging them as spam. So it's getting harder, for full disclosure, but you can still do it. It still works for one person. It's a highly efficient, because your goal is to convert them from a text to a phone call. Don't ever try to take a deal down via text and like never communicating. To me, it's just a waste of time. Every now and then it'll happen that way, but eventually you do have to talk to someone to make sure everything is for real on it. So, and then the last one is direct mail. Guys, I love direct mail. Direct mail is is extremely profitable. Anybody who tells you direct mail is dead or doesn't work, it means they're probably not a very good wholesaler. Most of the highly efficient wholesalers across the country, they use direct mail. Why? Because it has a very dependable ROI on it. I know exactly how much I spend on my direct mail. I know very close on what my rate of return is going to be on it. End of story. You know why? Because I've been doing it 20 years. Actually, my fear is not investing in direct mail, because then I know I won't make a return. It'll be zero. But here's the good news. You don't have to start out with direct mail, but if you guys want to play around with it, you can check it out. Go over to mailingmastery.com. We teach you how to do it head to toe, 100% for free, no strings attached to it. And I'll show you how to use the techniques I use in direct mail. I absolutely love it. So the cold calling direct mail, and remember, direct mail is only for those of you that have completed a few deals and then you want to start scaling up your business. But some of you start out with direct mail. It's okay. It's actually extremely efficient, but it is definitely a learning curve, and you got to understand it. So the next question, whenever we put a plan together, is you have to ask yourself, how am I going to get the results? Because really, you write a plan, you formulate the whole thing, you put in the amount of money you're going to spend, the time you're going to measure the actionable results. And so now, how do we get results? This is where most people just don't understand plans. Okay. You see, the plan itself is not enough to get a result. It's only a guide, just call it a template for you to get somewhere. So now so if you got a template, say you got a Word document template, and it was to do like a table of contents and had nice, pretty chapter numbers on it and everything. It's not going to do it by itself. And this is what you guys got to understand. You can write all the plans you want. I'd rather you have a plan than no plan at all, because no plan at all, I know exactly where you're going. Here's the big secret. There's the number one thing people struggle with plans. To make a plan work, to get results, you have to take action. I would put a massive amount of action, but All results are based on action. You don't believe me? Let's take a sport. Say a basketball player, say he dribbles all day long and the shot clock expires, he doesn't shoot. Does he or she have the ability to score a basket? No. There's no points accrued. I can take the other team that they're terrible at basketball. I mean terrible. But man, they just keep lobbing that ball up in there. And guess what? After a while, some of their shots are going to hit. The team that's trying to pass it perfect and make sure they have 100% baskets, they might make 2 or 3 shots and maybe 1 out of the 3 goes in or 2 out of the 3 goes in it. But the other team takes 50 or 60 shots and 10 of them go in. The team that took the most shots on average is going to win in that case scenario. And here's what I'm telling you. You have to kind of take the same analogy when you write a plan. If you are not going to take the action, or worse yet, you're going to lie about the actions you take and then complain to people why you're not getting there, then you have to learn what we call accountability. And if you can't be honest with yourself, wholesaling will be extremely painful. I've watched a lot of friends. I've watched a lot of people I teach in this, and the ones that cannot be honest with their actions are the ones that usually do the worst. Oh, Rick, I called 100 people. Isn't that crazy? I didn't get a deal on 100 people. And I'm just like, 100? Wait, was that the first hour or the second hour? Like 100 is nothing, guys. 1,000 is nothing. Honestly, 10,000 is nothing. Until you get to like that 100 to 150, 200,000 calls, you don't know anything. You're just a rookie. You're kind of like you're doing a hobby and you're trying to make it professional. You've got to be like the Kobe Bryants. The man probably took 500,000-600,000 free throws in practice alone. And I know I'm way under that number. And I'm telling you, you have to take the same mindset. You are no different. I'm telling you, the reasons I'm sitting here, I never stopped. Guys, and I failed a bunch. I failed more than I care to like admit. But the reality is I always kept going forward. How do you keep going forward? You just take constant action. You take enough action, it will yield a result. And if you have a good enough plan, it will yield the money you need. So many people think wholesaling is like this perfect. I write 50 contracts in the year, 45 of them get accepted, I'll make a ton of money. No, absolutely not. You might write 1,000 contracts, 50 get negotiated, 25 get signed, and 15 of them close. I don't know. But I'm just telling you, it's not like I write 50 contracts, I get 50 accepted. That's even realtors don't do that. And you've got to understand that going into this business. So you have to understand to earn 100K in wholesaling, which is not hard. I know a lot of you thinking like, dude, that's crazy. I'd do anything to 100K. It's so much easier than you think it is. It's just your mind block. Someone's taught you that in corporate America, you can only, if you make 100K, you're doing well. You're not. I'm sorry. The truth is you're not. You're just an average Joe. You guys are much better than that. I used to make 80 to 120K a year every year. I thought I was like the Mac Daddy. But I got a W-2. By the time the government took their cuts, I took everything out, and then I had my fake 401K. I didn't have a lot to take care of my family. It's just the truth. And those of you that have kids, especially in today's age, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is why wholesaling resonates so well with most of the people I connect with on here, because you want to make a change. So let's talk about that first 100K. You're going to have to do 100K worth of actions. You can't just, well, I'm going to make 100 phone calls. I'm going to do this. Go out and get 500 driving for dollars leads every week. I don't care. Go. I know it's a big number, but big numbers means big actions, which means big results. 100's not going to cut it. When we talk about cold calling, 1,000 cold calls don't cut it. Double it. Do 2,000. Do 5,000. That's the kind of effort if you have no experience, you're going to have to 10x your effort. Sorry for the analogy, but it's the truth. And 10x has been around forever, even before Mr. Cardone. But you have to think bigger. You can't just go, oh, I'm going to make 200 cold calls. And do you really expect to get a result from that? And like, that's not going to do it. So whatever you're thinking much bigger now. So if you're thinking 200, think 2,000 in cold calls. 10,000 text. If you want to do like direct mail and you really want to go all in, You got to look at 5, 7, 10,000 pieces. Guys, you got to do numbers to make stuff work. Nobody plays small in this business and make it work. So in the beginning, we do what we have to because that's all we know. But like once you understand how the business works, if you'll invest in yourself by using some of the paid techniques, using some of the free techniques, and maybe use the free techniques so you can get to the paid techniques, I don't care what it is. And if you're using the free techniques, you're really going to have to 10x your numbers. That's the bottom line. But here's the good news. Within 2 years, you can 100% change the trajectory of your life, your family, everyone around you, and you can have the absolute most freedom, enjoy life on your terms instead of working for the man or the woman and building someone else's dreams. You guys deserve to build your dreams, and I want to help you here through wholesaling. So I'm going to teach you a little bit of rule to sum this up, because I tell you right now, I think we all complicate this business way too much. So I'm going to teach you a rule. If you use it, it's going to help you out a lot. It's called the 3-1-1 wholesaling split rule. Okay. It's not complicated. Trust me, it ain't a math problem. So 3-1-1 adds up to be 5, right? So if you had 5 hours in a day for wholesaling, then this is 100% geared towards wholesaling. I'd spend the first 3 hours on marketing, because guys, without marketing, it's like not having fuel for your car. You're not going to get anywhere. Yeah. Don't worry about dispositions and acquisitions. It ain't going to work. So if we understand wholesaling is nothing more than marketing, acquisitions, and dispositions, we're going to start with marketing. In the beginning, you need marketing. Like you need to become a marketing master ninja. So to do that, you're going to have to spend the most time there. So if you want to learn more how to do it, go over to freewholesaling.com. Me and Zach show you step by step how to get there. So the first 3 hours you are going to spend on marketing. The next hour you are going to spend on acquisitions. That's writing offers. That's following up in your CRM with offers that didn't stick. And you just keep doing this. And the acquisitions is important. And then the other one is going to be on dispositions. Don't worry if you don't have a deal. This is the hour you're going to spend working with your cash buyers to vet them, get proof of funds, make sure they're legit buyers. They're buying in the right price points for the right type of deals. So when you do have your deal through your 3 hours of marketing per day and your 1 hours of acquisitions, you have somebody ready to go. So many people will spend 10 hours on marketing, an hour on acquisitions, and then nothing on dispositions, on getting your cash buyers. And eventually, if you start to break this rule, stuff will break down in your business. So you're better to start this 3-1-1 wholesaling split plan rule up front. So whenever you're looking at it, you got to look at your time and manage it proportionally. You can't just wing it. You have to. And I would probably push the marketing even higher, maybe a 4-1-1, especially when you're starting out, maybe even a 5-1-1, because marketing is where all your deals are going to come from. And then you're going to spend a little bit more time on dispositions and what's going on in the market currently, because cash buyers are all over the board and you got to get as much intel as you can from them. So, guys, this is it. This is what you need to fast track your wholesaling success, especially for a 30-day plan. So I see your questions. It is all a numbers game. It's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to answer some questions I have online here. So if you have a questions, put it in the comments. If you want to jump on and do a live, just click in the top comment under Rick Ginn. There's a link for the one-on-ones. Click it there. And if you want to talk about a deal, or you need help with a solution on it, or you want to go through your action plan for 2023, I'm wide open to it. So guys, use this time wisely. And let me grab that comment and let's see here. So guys, you see how to do the one-on-ones, because I see plenty of people in there. So obviously you guys have figured it out. So, okay, let's check this out here. So it says, is it necessary to do a cloud title? So guys, in the comments, let me know if you know what a clouded title is. Like, does anybody know what that means? Because I know what it means. It's a very abused term. And I want to help you out with it. So if you know what clouded title is, please let me know in there. And I want to make this clear on you. It says, I'm considering it, but I haven't heard mentioned a lot of times. I'm just trying to cover my own arse. Yeah. Am I overthinking this? Number one, you are overthinking it. So the link is in the comments on the top comment from Rick Ginn. You'll see a link in there with a code to do the one-on-one. So just check it out in the comments. And it's in the beginning of the stream. So Justin says, I don't want to run the comments over here. He says clouding title is used to prevent someone from stealing your deal by filing a memorandum. He's kind of right on that. So a clouding a title basically means you typically record something of public record against that property. Now, you have to have a valid claim for it. How do you have a valid claim for it? You have a purchase and sale agreement that is 100% rock solid, meaning you put down a deposit, you perfected the contract, you've ran the title, and you have the physical ability to close on the property with your own cash, you or your partner, however it is. And the idea, a clouded title is nothing more than basically a cheap way of doing a lawsuit without the expense. That's just the truth. It's a cheap way of stopping a property from selling, because if the title is clouded, which means, it's, so when you cloud a title, you record something against it. If the seller doesn't agree to it, it's clouded. It means like, what the heck's going on with this property? The only way to clear it up is two parties have to consent and sign off on it, or you have to go to court and engage a lis pendens lawsuit, which is a nightmare. So let me tell you the pros and cons of doing a clouded title. Number one, a clouded title should only be done under the advice of a highly qualified real estate attorney. Why? Rick, it's just an affidavit. Well, did you know if you record a clouded title affidavit and you are wrong, you are now open and liable for a defamation of title suit, which is expensive and extremely painful. So I've been sued on that. I got sued by a lawyer for it. And what they'll do is they'll go through your contract with a fine-tooth comb. And if there's one flaw in your contract, you didn't leave a deposit, you didn't put it in escrow, you don't have an escrow letter, you didn't pull title, you didn't demonstrate you had the ability to close on the property, and you didn't do everything to a T, then you can be challenged. If the burden's on you, and if there's a problem, say your title's missing, say the contract didn't get signed, something to get notarized, and you clouded up the title on that property, now the seller is allowed to countersue you for damages that you've caused them. Maybe they couldn't sell their property. Maybe they had to take a lesser price. They can sue you for the holding cost. It is endless. And if you don't know what you're doing and you record these things recklessly, you can easily be sued. So, guys, my recommendation is do not record something against the property unless you're 100% sure and you have to do it and you have the blessing of a real estate attorney. Because if you're wrong and you record it wrong, you are now going to be liable. And the liability, there's no one way to do it. Like once you record something against public record, you can't undo it. And by the way, it can come back 20, 30 years to hurt you. Now, if you're worried about someone going behind your back and just say you have zero ability to close on the property, my advice is never to close a memorandum. What I would do is find out which title company that seller is probably using. And I would make sure you send your purchase and sales agreement over there. No title company is going to close knowing there's other pending contracts on it. And I've stopped more closings just by reaching out to local title companies saying, listen, I got a contract on this property. And when it calls, just to let you know, I will dispute it. So guys, I only record stuff on title under the advice of a lawyer. If you do it yourself, you have a lawyer look over your contract, look at your deposit, and they're going to think more like a judge than you because it can be problematic. Now, there are companies now that are teaching to record and cloud the title the day you enter a contract. That's technically illegal. You can't be doing that with every contract because it makes no sense. And then also, it makes a big difference if your contract is allowed to be recorded or not. And you're finding that more and more counties, more and more states are going away against these affidavits of memorandums. And for the record, guys, just to let you know that if you guys are in this like novation like fad right now, they record an affidavit of memorandum. That's their technique to cloud the title of the property to get their fee out of it. And what they're doing is 100% illegal. Because if you're going to record a memorandum of affidavit that you have a contract and you full well know your contract is fake because you're going to use that contract to swap out with another contract, that's what we call in this business fraud. If you're going to write a fraudulent transaction up front and you never ever have the intent of closing or doing anything with it, your intent is everything in this business. And if that's how you're going to start it, that's how most novations go. So I just met with the Underwriters Association or whatever. They asked me my professional opinion on novations, and they showed me what's going on because I just did 2 deals that were former novations that people gave up because the wholesalers didn't know what they were doing because they took someone's course on novations. They tried to record a POA. They tried to cloud the title, all these advanced things that you should never be doing on your own. And what I'm telling you is, guys, if you don't understand it, don't do it because it's going to make you liable. It's going to be a problem. I'd rather you go back and get another deal. Guys, I've lost plenty of deals. I have people go behind my back. I hate it. But recording a memorandum of affidavit opens you up for a wide open lawsuit. And for that reason, you want to avoid it. Not only the affidavits are getting so out of control in wholesaling, and novations is adding a whole layer that's to make it so worse. I predict probably in the next 2 to 3 years, you are going to struggle to record any type of affidavits. They're just not going to let you do it. So we have 2 counties in my area that you can't record an affidavit. Like you actually have to fill out a lot of paperwork, and they want the consent of the homeowner on every one of them. So you wholesalers that want to record an affidavit because you're in a dispute because they won't sell it to you, in the future, you're probably going to have to get the seller's permission to do that, which why would they ever do that? So guys, don't record stuff. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. It is a very, very risky move unless someone has actually gone behind your back and done it. And keep in mind, if someone went behind your back, stole a property and did all that, you can still sue them even after they closed. It doesn't change the material fact of what they did. And by the way, if someone's licensed and they did that to you, it's the easiest lawsuit you'll ever have in your life. It's not even a lawsuit. It's a complaint to the realtors board and you will be paid. So I've had 3 complaints. It's one of the reasons why I'll never become licensed. Why am I going to be licensed? I'm not a realtor. I don't want to be a realtor. Why would you get a realtor's license if you got into wholesaling? Because a guru told you? Don't do it. So, okay. That's enough for my rant there. Sorry about that. Connected says, hey, Rick, I have a few cousins in Nigeria that want to do cold calling, but how do we set it up? Do we need software? Google Voice won't allow us calls. So I'm not probably the best guy to answer that, but you're going to have to use some sort of VPNs that will route your IP address from the United States back over whatever country they're at. And yeah, you're definitely going to have to use a service more advanced than Google. But I would start with like a VPN and work. Skype is wonderful. Like a lot of people complain about Skype. It's old school. It still works. So I talk to a lot of people internationally with Skype. You have to pay for it, but it definitely gets you through that loophole. So he says, hey, Rick, is it too late to market tax delinquencies inside of Florida? No. So tax delinquencies, just to let you know, the bills come due into November and then they come 100% delinquent after March 30th. So just to give you an idea, but keep in mind, every state's a little bit different how they do the collections. I can only speak on behalf of, like the Southeast, but that's how Florida does it. So we're always marketing the years before. So I don't like to pull them till like April, May. I get the fresh list. I sort them out and then they're good for a year. So hopefully that helps you out with that. So Okay, let's keep bouncing here. Jalen, you there?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Rick, you can hear me?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just got just two quick questions.
Okay, shoot.
Okay, so first one, I had a oh, what do we do about EMD? Like EMD. Can you explain that a little bit? Because I didn't. I actually was scared. I didn't call a seller back. She was like real motivated because I didn't have any EMD, so I just let that deal go out the window. Because yeah,
Okay. Was she asking? Was she asking you for EMD?
no,
Okay, so let me just walk you through this. So you know what EMD stands for, right, Jalen?
yes,
What's it stand for?
earnest money deposit.
Okay, so it's just a fancy word for deposit, guys. That's pretty much it.
Hmm.
Jalen, I want you to understand the first 2 years of this business, I didn't even do a deposit. I didn't do it once.
What?
Number one, I didn't have it, and number two, do you guys know a deposit is not required on a contract? That is just that's just like you guys are all just old wise tales and myths. I'm just telling you, you do not have to have a deposit. Now, I'm not here to argue with lawyers, but if I probably did 50 deals in my first 2 years without even talking about deposits. Just to let you know, why? I didn't even understand what they were.
Hmm.
Nobody taught me ever to ask one. So guess what? I never even like, you want 50 grand for your house? And we agreed on 50 grand. That's it. I didn't go over the deposit because they just want their house sold. So I find that most of you guys with deposits, it's your internal struggle. You think it's required. You can put a zero deposit on a contract. Now, when we got technical, there's some states and how you want to read it. You're supposed to do some sort of consideration, but I mean, does $10 sound like consideration to you? Like for a deposit? It's to me, it's not very valid. So in theory, you do not have to leave a deposit. That's in your head because you
Okay.
got so many people telling you I have to leave a deposit. Let me let you in on a little secret. Highly motivated sellers don't give a crap about deposits most of the time. They just want their house sold. They're not going to get into the weeds. You know who gets in the weeds on deposits?
The cash
Retail
buyer.
retail sellers. They're a nightmare.
Oh, okay.
I need so I get people all the time that argue deposits on me. Like so it's you're not going to be immune to it, but I'm telling you, number one, you have to recognize a lot of the your thoughts and process about EMD and deposits, it's in your head. So if
Okay.
I already
Okay.
told you you can do it for zero, and I've proven this theory over and over, and I'm not the only one, people have done it all over the country. So that's number one. Number two, deposit mostly in American culture is people feel if you leave a strong deposit, they're a strong buyer. That's it. That's the correlation. Okay. So
Hmm.
they think the more of a deposit you leave, the more serious you are about it. Does it really matter what you leave in deposit if you're I always look at the seller. If you can get them to concentrate on the final sell price of the house, they won't spend forever on the deposit. Most of the time, when they spend all their energy on the deposit, it's either their friend, the realtor, or somebody leaning in their ear. You got to get a bigger deposit.
Okay,
That's it.
because yeah, because I was supposed to call her back, but that was the 17th.
So
I
it
just got so scared and I didn't even
call her
call her
back.
back.
It's no big deal. So worst case scenario,
Hmm.
you leave her $100 deposit. $100. Can you scrape
Okay.
up $100?
Possibly yes. I think
So
so.
so here's the little trick I'm also going to teach you.
Okay.
By the way, everything in real estate is negotiable, guys. This isn't like FBO, Amazon, crap like that. And guys, I've been doing this 20 years. It doesn't go away and it doesn't like get shut down. So, did you know you can negotiate when you leave your earnest money deposit? Did you know that?
No.
So, here's a little trick. You know about the inspection period, right?
Yes.
And how long are you going to ask for an inspection period when you get a contract with her?
I'm 30 days in this market.
Correct. And you are going to leave your earnest money deposit on the 30th day.
Okay.
So you can just write in there earnest money deposits to due upon final acceptance of inspection period, which is going to be 30 days, which gives you what?
30 days to get the $100.
Correct. So you can now go find a cash buyer. And if the deal's good, you can use that $100 and use it towards the deposit on that contract. It's not your money, it's their money. You got to get it out of your head. Some
Okay.
of them will hit you in the mouth with it. I can't stop everyone. But what you have to do is have them focus on getting their house sold and not the deposit, because the deposit, think about this. So you have a 30-day inspection period. So after 10 days, you decide, I don't want anything to do with this deal. It doesn't make sense. What happens to the deposit?
It goes to her if you did place it down, but if you
No, no,
didn't,
no. It goes to you, long as you're within
oh,
your inspection period. So you're
okay,
negotiating a mute point. Think about it. You could leave $1 million. As long as you let her know by the 29th day you want it back, they have to give it back to you. So why are we discussing this? I want to get your house sold. And
okay,
that's all I do is focus on them. Guys, really highly motivated sellers do not negotiate like the deposit. They don't overly care about it. Every now and then they get stuck in their brain on it. So my recommendation, $10 doesn't work. 100, So you could go up to $500 just right in your contingency clause or the addendum. Say, earnest money deposits due upon completion and acceptance of final inspection period. That's it. So if it's 500 or 1,000, guess what?
you get it back.
Yeah, you get it from your seller. So you have to honor your commitment for whatever your inspection period is. And then, Jen, let's take it a step further. If you use my contract and say you screw up and you wait 40 days and you left $100, what happens to that $100?
You lose it, correct?
Correct. Do you lose anything else?
No.
Long as you didn't commit fraud, you just gambled $100. Jalen, you ever spend $100 on something stupid?
Yes, plenty of time.
You had no shot of making money at. So every now and then you could lose if you did a 7 or 10 day. And that's why I tell every one of you, try to get 30 days or more.
Okay. Wait, you said my cash buyer can pay my earnest money?
Easily. Think about it. So if you find a cash buyer in the first 10 days
Uh-huh.
and you owe a $500 deposit, and think about that.
Okay, so what would I write it on an assignment or contract? I will write.
So remember, if you put it in your purchase and sale agreement, and there's an addendum section, you can simply write it in there. Don't make it real overly fancy.
Okay.
When you sell your contract, you're selling the obligations on the rights to who?
To the cash buyer, right?
Yeah. So the cash buyer go, listen, that's fine. The EMD for this thing is $500 and it's due by next Tuesday. You got to make sure you leave that 500. And then I make sure they write the check right there to the title company. And then they're going to write me my non-refundable deposit. They can either make it out to the title company if you've never done business with them before. That's what I recommend. Or they can make it out to you. But if you're starting out in the beginning, I would wait till you do a few deals before you start asking for that.
Okay.
So keep in mind, if you paid the $500 earnest money deposit, say you had to give it to her up front, then basically the new cash buyer would replace your $500 with his $500.
Okay.
By doing this, you truly have a net gain zero down deal, but you got to go get that $500 from your cash buyer.
Okay, makes sense. And last question,
Yes.
Zach said to cold call until the 23rd. And do I cold call after Christmas, like the 26th? How do I?
Yeah, people are in a really good mood. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I would say New Year's and Christmas Day are kind of you're really gonna piss people off. So, but past that, we have a whole nother week from the 26th to the 31st. Go nuts.
Yes.
Go nuts. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So thank you. So
Yeah. So guys, just so you know, the regular holidays, Easter, Christmas, the hard hold days, 4th of July, it doesn't make sense to cold call on those days. There's not a lot of them, but there's 4 or 5 holidays that you go, okay, I can't do it. And with the deposit, it's not a trick. Everything's negotiable in real estate. You have to focus on helping people solve their problems, and you get a really good deal. You find a cash buyer who says, hey, that's a great deal, and everybody wins. If everybody wins, wholesaling's fun. It's when you start lying and tricking people. And when people get obsessed when it comes to the deposit, I always talk about, remember, Susie, you said if you could get this house sold in 30 days and move with your sister in the Carolinas, that would be your dream. Let me help you make that dream come true. Why are we spending time on the deposit? It's pointless. And then I do this too. If I left you $100 or I left you $10,000, if I decide to get out of it in 2 weeks, I'm get out of it. It's not going to change anything. See, the deposit is not going to change your commitment level. Now, here's the only technique I do. If somebody gives me a house like 30, 50 cents on the dollar, I'll give you a big fat deposit. I don't care. But I'm still, guys, even my tightest contracts, I write a 3-day inspection just to make sure we cover everything. So if you guys are leaving a big deposit, you got to know something that it's a major home run, like huge home run, because you're going to take financial risk when you do it. But you're on, like, go. And so I need you to get off the phone with me and call her like as soon as possible. Don't be scared of deposit, guys.
Okay,
Deposit's nothing. Deposit is absolutely nothing.
So what do I say to her when I call her back? Because I was supposed to call her the 17th, but I just got crazy goosebumps. I said, no, I don't got no earnest money. Like, what do I say to her? Like, you got any advice?
Say, listen, I screwed up. I know I let some time go. I lost your phone number, which you kind of did. And just say, listen, I just want to kind of go back over this deal. And then just get back into it and get her talking about it and just go right back into it.
Okay.
The worst she's going to do is say no to you. It's not like the biggest deal. And like, listen, I could tell you there's thousands of people who have done exactly what you've done. I've done it before. By avoiding it, you just make it worse and your self-confidence gets shattered. So go, okay, I screwed up. I'm going to get back on the horse. And if it bucks me again, I'm just going to keep going back on. And the next time this conversation comes up, you know exactly how to deal with it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate you.
Okay, man. I'll see you,
All
bud.
right. See you.
Okay. Altamara, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. I can hear you just fine. He's got his jiu-jitsu shirt on, man.
Oh, yeah. I do got that. I was supposed to work out today, but then I had my daughter, so I couldn't.
Boy, Patty the Batty didn't look too good in his last performance there, did he?
I think he lost, but
I thought he lost. I honestly thought he lost, and I like the guy. I just think I think some of those guys get so caught up in like the showmanship, the business.
Exactly. I think that's why he won.
And he's like, you saw what happened to McGregor, like when he got into that. And but did you see? I don't know if it was the week before they had that 18-year-old kid in there.
Oh yeah, the Mexican kid. He's a beast.
He's good, man.
Yes.
And he's humble and he's like super aggressive. And
he's only like he just turned 18. He just turned 18.
And that's a high school kid, man.
No, the way
it's
he was
insane. Like, I said, Zach, look at this 18-year-old, and like he didn't go and just beat the guy; he destroyed the guy.
Oh,
like I was just like,
it
was like a boy just ripping a man apart. I'm like, oh my god! Like you could just. He was head hunting. He was doing everything. He's like, when that guy gets all his other skills wrapped around it, man, he's gonna be.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna be scary, man.
You know, he's so young that he's gonna get the money that he got to buy his mom a car to drive him to the PX.
I just love how like fearless that kid is, man. And guys, that's how you have to be in wholesaling, man. You just gotta like, okay.
And it's fun because for me to get in the ring and strike with people and do all these things, it's nothing compared to making a call. To do a call,
isn't that crazy?
Oh my god!
So you want to hear something funny? Is I like to lift weights. To me, it's therapeutic, especially when you get older, because you got to take your aggression out on something. But I've had problems with like some of my joints and stuff as I get older, so I've had to learn how to stretch, and I hate stretching. Like I wrestled in high school, and like they taught you either you stretch or your opponent's going to stretch you out for you. It's going to hurt so bad you're going to get hurt. But you know, you get older and like just like touching your toes and stuff like that. So I've been taking 20 minutes before I work out and 10 minutes afterwards to stretch. And I'm like you, I rather get in a cage fight than stretch my hamstrings out, my groin out. It hurts, man. It's terrible.
It's bad. And those jiu-jitsu stretch are different.
Oh, yeah.
They're different.
But I tell you what, if you've ever done any type of combat sports and you've had someone tie you up like a pretzel, it's just like, you better make your body do that, because when someone makes you do it, it's like there's pains that you can't even like realize. So
it's bad. There's been days that I go from the boxing like sparring sections to jiu-jitsu, and I get out and I can't even walk.
Yeah. Well, I want to do jiu-jitsu so bad, but honestly, I'm so scared I'm going to get my joints like, because there's a huge learning curve, and you know that.
Yes.
And when you're older, your body's a little bit less forgiving. And every now and you get like it's not even a young person. Someone just wants to I'm gonna show this guy. I'm like,
Yeah,
man,
nobody is like they don't got.
jiu-jitsu's the one that will tear your joints apart if you're really not flexible and know what you're doing. So I wish I did it when I was a lot. It would have been a great progression from wrestling to jiu-jitsu. That's what a lot of people do.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is really good. Now that I'm learning,
but that's a sport that accumulates. So when you get someone 20 years, like they can even be old, they don't even have to be that strong, man. They just
they just need
hunt
to
your
know
joints,
how to
man.
get
I'm
into
like,
positions.
I'm like, man, because they just take a striker and they straighten his arms out and it's over, or their legs. It's like crazy, man. But anyways, back to wholesaling, man. What can I help you out with?
Back to wholesaling. So I have like quick questions that I'm having problem with. So I have a problem on staying busy. Like I do have like prop stream, but I barely use it because I spend too much time in the MLS, and it's like I keep seeing the same listings, and I don't go to prop streams just because I got this fear of cold calling more than just calling an agent, because they like or calling a seller because already the property is already for sale, and cold calling I have to see if they want to sell. And for me, it's like I have problems staying busy. So I don't know if you can tell me something that I can do.
So are you are you doing this virtually?
I'm doing it virtually. I live in New London, Connecticut, and it's like 30,000 people. Like, and it's I don't know if I can drive $4 here.
Well, only you knew that. You got to just. I don't know your market, so you'll have to make that determination on it.
Okay.
You say you're cold calling. What is it you're scared of, like cold calling people outside of agents for?
Well, we miss every time that this is how, like, I've been listening to Zach a lot, and he's like, hey, my name is Eddie. I'm a home buyer. Are you looking to sell your property? And most of the time, like you say, I'm hearing like, no, but some of them is like, oh, to you? No. And it's like those things, it's like it's not like I'm not afraid of no for an answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But because I haven't been so used to getting no for an answer, that it's so hard for me to make another call that I don't know how to overcome that.
If you understand like cold calling, if you make 10 phone calls, what percentage of them you think you're going to get rejected on average?
On all of them.
Probably high, right? 95 to 98%.
Yes.
So if you know cold calling is all about filtering just to find a few yeses, if you think about it, you're really not, if you made 100 phone calls, you're not having 100 conversations. You're having probably 95 really quick conversations of, get off. I don't want to deal with you. How dare you call me? And then all you're trying to do is get down to the 5 people that actually want to talk to you. And those 5 people are actually pretty decent and nice. That's it. If you guys understand, if you try to engage 100 people to get them to like you, it's never going to happen in cold calling. So the reason why people like cold calling real estate agents, because that's what they get calls all day for a living. So it's not really a cold call. It's just to see if they'll actually take your contract. Cold calling to a real seller without an agent involved is a whole different mentality. Why do you think every guru records all their recordings calling live and recorded real estate agents? Why? Because it's easy. It's not that hard, guys. The agent's not going to hang up on you because they have to represent the property. Homeowners, they're brutal. I agree with you 100%, but it's not easy. But I can tell you, it's a hell of a lot easier going in that cage and getting your face smashed in. I don't care what you say, dude. Like, I would never even like.
That's the thing. Getting in the ring, like I've been sparring crazy, and it's like nothing compares to getting the phone and be like, hey, my name is Eddie, and sometimes I even forget.
So here's where you look at it is if you make 100 calls and you can get like 5 people that will engage you, it's fine. So don't spend energy on 100 of them. You kind of just like, you get through it because you're disqualifying more you're going to qualify. And that's the one thing I do know about cold calling. Now, I don't have a problem with cold calling. It just, I had to do things really the hard way. I had to go door to door and like I figured things out.
And I want to do door to door. I feel like my market is like really dead. Like I go and put in I can go to Hartford maybe, like that it has 100K like popularity,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an hour away from where I live in. And I think that's where I can probably find more success.
Well, look in that market, but you're going to have to find a way to get like more leads that you can churn over, because it's everything I've talked about in this live is you just got to have as much opportunity as possible. When you're starting out, it's just like if you put a grappler, a wrestler, jiu-jitsu guy in the ring, it's just, what do you tell like a young guy that's has all the ambition in the world to do MMA, but they have very little experience? What do you tell them?
Oh, keep going.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wrestle everybody.
Yeah.
You can't just wrestle real estate agents. You're gonna have to wrestle homeowners. The more people you can wrestle and grapple with, the better you're gonna do, because eventually you get exposed to every situation. After a while, you go, you know what? There's nothing they can say to me that I can't handle. Like, I know exactly what, guys, you know, there's only really 6 objections in all of wholesaling, all of real estate. There's only 6.
And I got them right here too.
Yeah. And once you know exactly what they are, you're like, okay, I get it. Like, there's not much you can say. The reality is most people will take years to try to figure out what those 6 objections are and how to overcome them. So if you go over to like freewholesaling.com, we teach you how to break that down early. And the sooner you recognize that. So whenever someone gives me an objection, I immediately go, okay, there. Oh, okay. Here's what I'm going to say. Oh, okay. Like, for instance, when a seller has an objection with like an earnest money deposit, it's one of the easiest ones forever. Well, I tell them, I go, listen, I'm going to drop off the 100, and I'm going to give a $100 earnest money deposit. They're like, $100? That sounds a little light, Rick. I go, Patty, listen, I'm focusing on buying your house. Remember, the deposit's refundable up to the inspection day. So if I left $1 or $1 million, it works the same function. You said you wanted to get out of your house, get it sold by this day, and be living with your sister by the end of the month. Is that still what you want? Yes. Okay. So us focusing on the deposits is wasting time. Do you understand the $100? I'm concentrating on the $100,000 I owe you for the house, not the $100 deposit, because the reality is, it's not my money and it's not your money. Let's get you the money that you need. And usually you just go right through it and you're fine. 9 times out of 10, it's a realtor that's usually stuck in it. Every deal you do on the MLS, you have to deal with the deposit thing, because they're trained. They're all trained like monkeys.
Yeah, and I did a deposit on this deal that I was talking to you last time, and I did 1,000 on the deposit, but it was a struggle. Like I had some money saved, but I had to take out of the money saved that I had from the ones that my girlfriend let me borrow, and to make the 1,000 and pay that off. And even still, I canceled the contract like 5 days after, because a lot of the buyers that I was finding, they were like 20K under or 10K under. And I'm like, oh, like I'm going to have to get out of the contract because I probably run my numbers wrong, I guess. It was too close on the deal. So, and I'm still waiting for my $1,000 deposit.
That's it. So technically, just to let you know, on like any deposit you leave in a real estate contract, as long as both parties sign the contract and you give formal notice of you canceling the contract, you should be able to get your money back immediately. You should never be waiting. So unless someone's waiting to mail you a check or something like that, but that's the beauty of it. You let it go past the inspection period, then 2 parties have to consent to release your money. And I don't spend a lot of time on it. You can get deals on MLS. I think 2023 is going to be a better year with it. But my problem with MLS is not the availability of property. It's just, you just got to go through the realtors. And realtors speak a different language than you and me do. They just do. And it's like everything has to have it's like, I got to have a deposit. I got to have this. I got to have inspections, appraisals. Like they are like robots, and I don't speak any of their language. So,
and some of them act like they own the property.
Crazy. And that's the other problem with it. So look around in that market close to you. And then I think you just have to rip off the Band-Aid on cold calling. Stop worrying about it. Just do it. Like, I guarantee you, it's not going to be anything worse than anything you've done before. The anxiety up to it, and just when you're making your calls, just understand I'm going through a hunt and peck mode. Like, you don't have to engage a conversation when someone's ice cold with you. You try, but like, listen, you make You make 100 phone calls, 90 people are going to tell you to have off. So have fun with it. Just keep a little chart. When I used to have a big call center, we used to have bingos on Monday night for cold calling. And when someone says, if the price is right, we'd use like all these catchphrases. It was so funny. And you just kind of laugh. And then I used to keep like a white notepad and I write down the funniest comments people told me that night. And people will never cease to amaze you what they'll say to you.
Oh no, yeah, crazy.
Like, really?
You
know my mom? You talk to my mama. You tell my mama I've been waiting to talk to her. Like crazy stuff, man. They try to get under your skin.
True. That happened to me like a lot.
Don't let them get under your skin. Remember, you got to get to an ends to a mean. We got to get you to write contracts because when you start out, it's very similar to like MMA. You are pushing a boulder uphill and it's just barely moving. And you're trying to make sure that boulder ain't going to flatten you out.
Oh yeah.
And if you got to keep pushing, because what happens when you stop pushing? It's just like when you get in a fight in MMA, what happens when you stop like
throwing punches?
And people have no idea. Tell them how much energy it takes to stand up after someone does a takedown on you. They're riding on top of you. It's like, that's why the guy just sits there and hangs on top of you because you got 150, 200-pound guy hanging on you and you're trying to stand up. Exactly. It's hard. It's hard. And the minute you stop hand fighting and going 2-on-1s, he understands this terminology.
Oh, plus all the blood.
If you don't fight, you're going to be a dead man soon, right?
Yeah.
And the minute you do that, they're going to get up around your neck area. It's just like, and it's just over. And now I never did MMA, but I tell you in wrestling, I knew once you got flat on the ground, you were in big trouble because all they have to do is lever you. So my coach goes, just don't get flat on the ground because when you get flat on the ground, they're one move away from pinning you.
True.
So then when you have to learn like Roman Greco wrestling, all this other freestyle, to me, it's much more exciting, but it's like, I could never wrap my head around it when I was young. It was really cool to watch. So that's what I'm saying is you got to keep pushing every way to get your leads up. And then the minute you take a break and go, okay, I'm going to take a week off for Christmas, stuff like that, that boulder comes all the way back down in a deeper set and it's sunk in mud. And you're like, how the hell am I going to get this? It's called momentum. And you got to keep going. So I would expand your leads. And I'm going to give you the truth. You're going to have to get over your cold calling thing because life's short, man. You and me are only going to be here so long. You got to take care of your kids, everybody else associated with you. You're going to have to do what uncommon men did. And I'm not talking about the guys doing the mat in the cage. I'm talking about out here because it's just as hard of a fight, in my opinion, as it is in the cage. One's just more mental than it is the other.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to do. I want to make it happen because, okay, I want to make it happen in the cage, but I want to make it happen more in life for my daughter. I want to be healthy for my daughter. Yeah. So it's like I'm playing between these two just because I know I can make it happen in here. They're making the call, they're doing the right thing, and people like you helping me is the only thing that I have because I don't.
Guys, the beauty of wholesaling, it can let you pursue whatever passion you really want. So wholesaling in a way is a perfect passion for him. Other than it takes a little bit of a time and commitment to get started, and he's trying to train, raise a family, and do the whole thing. I know a lot of people you could relate. Like we all got like a lot of balls going on, but what I'm saying is, if you can put the hard work in wholesaling. It frees you up so much. So how old are you?
And that's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah. So how old are you, Armaldo?
27.
Yeah. So you're extremely young. So 2 years is nothing. And then you can kind of go on because I'm seeing cage fighters in their 40s, man. It's just crazy. But that experience pays off huge if they can have their body functioning by then, because that's the problem, man. Breaking all those limbs and stuff. You guys are crazy, man. But
yes. Crazy, and plus for my age, it's like one of the guys that I talk with, that I train with a lot. He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna do good, bro. You're probably gonna be a journeyman." And I'm not here for journeyman, bro. And
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, hang in there, man. Just look into what you can do with that local market, and then I would just access cold calling directly to home sellers.
But I don't have a dialer. Is that okay?
Whatever gets it done. It's no big deal.
Yeah, because that was my only issue, that I don't have a dialer, and I feel like a lot of the calls that I don't get an answer to,
it's because I don't have a dialer, but I don't know.
That's how I did it.
Okay.
It's not. It just takes more time. That's all.
Okay, yeah.
So, and you can look at there's some cheaper dialers out with them. I don't keep up with them, so I'm a Mojo guy. That was the ones I used, but it's really meant for realtors. It was never meant for wholesalers, but um, I think it was like $100 a month. But you got to just kind of make decisions on what volume you want to do. So try it out, see how much time it takes, and then you could extrapolate out there on how much time and resources it's going to take, and just look at the cost of a reasonable dialer to do it. You never need more than a 3-line. It's suicide more than 3 lines. You have to do major volume, like 30,000 calls a month to do more than 3 lines.
Yeah, but I'm gonna definitely speed up my calling, like making more calls on call calling and use PropStream more. I did watch one of your videos where you were saying like I looked up like which we links to basically pull in PropStream, like year and older and all that stuff. And I put 2,000 leads for, but no one was successful. But I'm gonna continue calling because I did a lot at the time. All I
Hi there. Okay, you're breaking up on us there, Almado. I will connect with you later in the week. Hey, sweetie, how you doing?
my little one. Sorry.
That's okay, man. Zach used to be that age. He used to like sit on my lap. So Zach spent a lot of time with me when I was looking at properties when we were young. But that's what wholesaling allowed me to do. So I love what you're doing. So have a wonderful Christmas. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just get more activity. That's all you really need. You know how to do it.
Appreciate
Okay, man. Have a good one, man. See you. Migs, you there?
Yes, how are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Good. Getting ready for the holidays and started cold calling last week and I got 2 potential hot leads, yeah. So that's
Okay.
actually my question.
Well, let's shoot, man. What do you need help with on it?
Yeah, so the first one is very motivated when it comes to their situation. And then I tried following up the next day and he kind of got not disappointed, but kind of got, yeah, we can say disappointed because he was like, didn't I tell you I'll just call you back when I'm ready? So I was just wondering if someone tells you to something like that, that they'll call you back, do you still follow up with them or just wait?
So let me ask you, when you first contacted him, you said he was pretty motivated, correct?
Yeah.
And
And
why do
then
you think that?
the night after we did a call at the nighttime, he was gonna meet his mother to discuss the potential of selling the property because he is kind of sick and his mom is old. So the next day I just wanted to see how it went, but he kind of told me that give me more time and just wait for me to call you. So
Okay. So remember, when we go through all this pain to get connected with a motivated seller, it's your job to navigate them through the seller's kind of mess. You have to realize that a lot of sellers, they get in the way of their own, they get in their own way, meaning I can't tell you how many sellers I met. I know for a fact they need to sell the house of the information they've said to me. I've gone out and looked at the house, or I see pictures and I'm like, oh my God, this house needs to be sold really bad. They're broke. Their finances are terrible. The family's a wreck. And, but it's a hard decision for them. They're like, people struggle. The reality is people selling their home is usually one of their biggest decisions in their lives. So number one, you have to respect it. And number two, you have to guide them down the tunnel. So when you get someone who's really hot about selling their house, you have to move as far as you can down that tunnel and before you break the deal. Because a lot of you guys have if someone's super excited, they go, yeah, Rick, I'm definitely interested in selling my property. I'm like, tell me a little bit about it. We go through the MCTP and everything. You get to the end, I go, well, let me do some research and I'll call you back. You can't do that. You spent all that time. They're eager to hear what you have to say. Just go through it. And most of you are like, well, I haven't figured out what the ARV is, and I can't figure out what my MAO is. You know why you're trying to figure out the MAO, the maximum allowable offer? Because you want to make an offer to get a yes on the first try. So say the property's worth 200,000, roughly 200,000. She says it's a little bit rough, needs a little bit of work. You figure it needs about another 20K worth of work. And so now you're selling a 200, that's 180, and then I want to make a $10,000 wholesaling fee. So a lot of you go on and, well, I'll offer her 165.5. And she says no. And then you got nowhere to go from there. Like, where are you going to go from there? You just gave them your highest offer. So you're better off coming in. You know, it's 200, needs 20K worth of work. Just start with a lower number. Just go, listen. And a lot of times I ask them on the phone, what do you need to get for this property? Why? I just want to get an idea where they're at. And then when I get down to it, if I was doing this virtually and they were really hot about selling the property, I'm just going to get into it with them. Who cares? Well, listen, would you consider like 120,000 for that property? I mean, I got the money ready to go now. And just shut up. And most likely they're going to counter you. And then from there, you can decide where to go. And you already know what the range is. And then if you got to call them back one more time to run some numbers, you're only 10 to 20 grand apart. That's it. You're not trying to cover $100,000 gap. So your problem is, how did it was a he, right?
Yeah.
How did he end the first phone call with you? Like, how did it end with you guys? Did you make him an offer?
No. So what happened is my first time after cold calling like 200 people. The first time that someone said yes to me. So I was kind of baffled and I didn't know what to do. So now
that's it. So you're like, that's good. So are you doing this virtually or locally?
Locally, yeah.
So locally, okay. So tell me how it ended up, and then what we'll do is role play, and I'll tell you how to do it in the future, and you'll learn from this, okay?
Yeah, it ended in a good note. I wasn't able to get the condition of the property or
Why couldn't
the
you get the
time,
condition of the property?
because he was like raving about his motivation, and maybe I was kind of caught off guard in a way. And
Sometimes they lie about their motivation, just so you know.
okay,
If somebody brags about their motivation, that makes me a little bit nervous. I'm like, why do you keep saying this? Like, most people don't say, I'm so motivated. They'll usually say, listen, I'm broke. I got to get rid of this house or something like that. So tell me anyways, how did it end?
so it ended in a good note wherein he was going to his mom's place to discuss, because I was the first one that he entertained after 5 calls. So it ended that he's going to drive to his mom, discuss it with her, that there's people calling about the home, and then that he's gonna call me back. And then I followed up the next day, and he told me that they weren't able to talk about it that night, and that he had to go as quick as possible. So he told me that just wait for me to call you when we're ready, something like that. Yeah.
And I assume him and his mother own the home.
Yeah, I believe it's under her mom's name, I think. Yeah.
And is the property vacant?
He lives in the property. But the motivation is the mom's old. He has some kind of condition, and they're trying to sell the property to move to Alabama or Louisiana. Sorry, yeah.
So you want to make sure that he's actually motivated himself to leave the property. Sometimes they go through the song and dance so they can live places rent free. I've had that. This happens to us a lot, especially in Florida. So that's one thing you got to watch for, because he's living there. Number two is you try to have to assess who the decision maker is in this relationship. Have you figured out if it's him or his mother?
That one I didn't.
So the only way you can figure that out is by talking to people more and more.
Yeah.
So the problem is when someone puts something out, say, listen, I'm going to talk to my mother and give me a day and I'll get back with you and do that. If it's a day, you got to wait a day, and you better make sure you follow up on that phone call. And then every time you've got to make common sense of what they tell you. So go, hey, how did the discussion go with your mother? I'm like, well, we never discussed it. I'm confused. Didn't you go over there to discuss it with her?
Okay, I could be firm like that. Okay.
Well, you got to get somewhere. Otherwise, what we do is like investigative work. So we have to progress. So if I'm willing to wait a day or two, sometimes a week, I just want to keep going. Either I'm going to get closer to a yes or further away from it. And if you don't look at your follow-ups, like, am I making progress or not? Like, I know probates take a lot more time because of the nature of it. But like something like this, You know what you're truly trying to do here? You're trying to see if they're telling you the truth or not. I hate to
Okay.
tell you this, guys. I don't mean to break your hearts. People will lie to you like crazy. People don't want to be accountable. They want to keep you as an option. So you have to use these techniques. Otherwise, you wind up being that girl at prom that just sits there and waits as the backup date. And you won't want to be in a backup position. Either let's dance or let me go find somebody else to dance with. And no, I'm perfectly fine with. It's when you sit in the maybe land, it sucks. Now, here's the problem. Some people are actually telling you the truth and they need time. For the most part, Lo, I'd say 7 out of 10 people are lying to you when they say that. But like people are people, and you have to learn to read people. It's hard on the phone. In person, it's a piece of cake. So how far away does his mom live? Is she in the same county or?
Yeah, it's the same street, I think, like a mile away or something like that. He told me.
So you can make a suggestion to go, hey, listen, you want me to come over and I can meet with you and your mom at the same time. That way we can get all the questions answered in one shot. If you
Okay.
can switch it over to a physical appointment, it is completely night and day. Let me ask you this. Have you ever, are you single, married? Like, what's your,
Single,
I'm
yeah,
not looking
single.
to date you. I'm just using an analogy here.
Single. Yeah.
Okay. So, where was I going with this? I'm not even going to go to this analogy because it's going to get me in trouble. So the idea is you've got to understand. So, here's where I'm going with it. If you've ever dated somebody and say it wasn't going well, and we've all been in that situation, do you think is it easier to break up with them on the phone or in person? Which is it?
Oh man, if it's not going well,
Yeah, if you could just, you don't want, like, you won't ever be around the person away. Which would you rather do? Make a phone call? I know
yeah,
everyone goes, oh, send a text. I know that's what a lot of people do now. But if you had the choice to make a phone call or physically confronting the person and breaking up with it, and you had the choice, which one would you take?
if it's not going well and we haven't dated for at least like 3 months or more,
Yeah,
I mean, I could just do it by the phone.
yeah, that's right. But probably in person, it's very horrifying. It's scary.
Yeah.
Same thing. Sellers have a hard time rejecting you guys in person. If you have the ability and you're not doing a virtual market, set the physical appointment whenever it's in doubt. And why? Because 70% of their communication is nonverbal. If you can read that nonverbal, you can actually take steps to help you out. So what I would do is to say, listen, why don't I just meet with your mom? I would love for you to come, and then we try to get to a decision. And I want to help you guys make a decision. Even if I don't buy your house. Does that sound fair? You got to keep making suggestions that, like, you're helping. And after a while, if the stories don't start adding up, you got to press really hard. Because here's the problem, when people start lying, guess what? They can't keep track of their lies. And eventually they got to come clean with you. Go, Rick, I just been stalling. I don't know what to do. And then I tell them, I go, is there something I've done to piss you off? I say it just like that. You know why? Because I try to shock them into giving me the truth. That's it. I'd rather just get to the truth, wouldn't you? And
Yeah,
then you'd
definitely.
be nice about it and go, hey, listen, I tell you what, why don't we make this super simple? Where's your mom at? Why don't I drive out there? I'll meet you there and I'll answer all the questions. And you two can kind of come to a decision. And that way you'll have more tools. You'll have more information. Heck, I'll even tell you what I think it's worth. Give them something, a reason to meet you with. And then 9 times out of 10, the mom's looking for the right person to buy the house. The
Got
son
it.
usually sets the price, and that's how they come to the decisions. But physical meetings, I promise you, if you do the physical meeting, you'll probably get a yes or a no. And then when I
Awesome.
do the physical one, I just say, Mom, I tell you what, I'm going to spend as much time as you want with you. And at the end of the conversation, you are going to have a decision to make. And it's yes, I like working with Miggs. He's wonderful. Or I don't like what he says. I don't like what he represents, and I don't want to sell to him. And either way, I'm okay with that too. And then when you do that, you will get an answer. And that's how I do every one of them. You have to, like, squeeze people a little bit to make a decision. The reality is when people sell their properties, it's usually one of their biggest decisions in their life. And it's challenging. Throw in all the other things moving and stuff. And then when you get the yes, you still got to, like, hold their hand to get them out of the property. Because moving is like one of the top 3 most dreadful things people do, right? Like, if you've ever moved, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
You lose stuff for months on end. You can't find stuff. It's a lot of physical work and it's stressful. So you have to be a problem solver. If you just say, "Hey, did you meet with your mom?" He's like, "Yeah, we didn't get around to talking about it." Maybe that almost sounds like maybe he's scared to talk to his mom about it. Maybe he wants to stay there rent free. Maybe there's something you don't know. And if he wants to stay there rent free, there's nothing you can do.
Got it.
So,
Yeah.
by the way, if you get mom's phone number, then you could talk to her directly. And you got to get one of those two on your side. So,
Okay.
set the physical appointment will make a tremendous difference. I'm telling you.
Got
And
it.
guys,
And,
I want you to problem solve every talk to people. If you're not getting closer to a yes, then you're just wasting time. I'm okay. I've had people go, "Rick, it's just a hard no." I'm like, hallelujah. Thank you. And then they tell me once they give me the no, it's like the confession time. I was using your offer because I had 2 other offers and the guy just came through and I signed it. I can't do this anymore with you. I'm like, okay. I'm not mad. I just move on. Like, but sometimes that can cost you 3 or 4 weeks. What else you got?
yeah, so I learned from that lesson, and then the second yes that I got, I was able to get the MCTP perfectly. He also gave me a price, and it was way above what PropStream was telling me. And then I was able to set an appointment, and I told him that I believe I got all the information that I got. I'll be sending this to our research and department team to give you a more calculated and fair cash offer. That's what I said because I didn't know how to do the ARV on the spot. Like I was baffled too, man. So now I'm in the process of like following up. I actually just texted him now, and I kind of need a little help with making an offer with the property, and I was wondering if I did it the right way. So
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, for most of you guys, you make the offer so complicated. What should the answer from your seller be when you make your first offer?
no.
Okay. So give them a no. So what's the ARV on the property?
The ARV, yeah, I'm still trying to work on that, but there was the last investor transaction in the area that's really close to the property. It was way back in March though, and
Uh-huh.
it was for 650. And the times have changed now, so I think he wants 880 for it, which is way above. So just trying
Well,
to see.
you got to figure out what the ARV is. Like, so if you're going to 668 to 200 more, I question if you have a motivated seller. But guys, you should be spending more than 10 minutes figuring out what the ARV is. If you are, it's just way too much time. Because
God.
remember, that's the retail number, and you got to back down from there. So when you spend all this time, if the motivation's not there, which it sounds like it's a little tricky on this pricing, you're just wasting time. I don't spend a lot of energy in the beginning. I find out what the ARV to the best guess I can. I take the most conservative number. So say the ARV is 200, say it needs 10 or 20 grand worth of repairs. So roughly it'd be 175, 180. I'm just going to throw out a stupid number and act stupid. That's what I'm best at. Why? I know he's not going to take it. He or she's not going to take it. I'm looking for the counter to see what kind of reaction I get from them. And then once you
Okay.
get a counter, that's when a negotiation starts. But sometimes their counter is so in left field, I don't even engage it. I'm like, well, I guess if you list it with a realtor and you're okay with all those fees and it's sitting 6 months, that maybe that's a number you want to do. I thought you wanted to sell this thing quickly. I do. I go, well, at that number, you need a realtor in the whole dog and pony show. I can't do that. And I'm like really honest with people. So you have to know the ARV of every property you go in on. So get the ARV, don't spend a lot of time on it, and then go for an offer. It's going to say no. And then if they say no, and it's like, it's left field stuff, move on with your life. They're just not ready to sell to someone like you. That's it.
Got it. And the ARV, when you're trying to get it, is it basically the estimated value in PropStream, or
Yeah. So you can use PropStream, you can use Batch, you can use Zillow, because listen, 95% of homeowners are going to base it on their Zestimate. That's how they come up with the number 9 times out of 10.
is
It's
that
not completely under. Sometimes it's right on, sometimes it's way off, but that's what's in their head. Sellers go and pick the highest number possible. And if they're stuck on that, you're going to have to question their motivation. And if you react to a high number and engage it, it's a really painful conversation. That means now you're walking down the retail lane without a realtor, and it's like I don't play that. Like I'm not even near that game. So if I know the ARV is 200 and they're asking 450, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that one. It's how am I going to walk them down $300,000-$400,000? Your cash buyer certainly never going to pay that. So
Got
okay,
it.
Biggs,
Can I have?
go dig it on the ARV. Let me help someone else out here because I got to wrap up here shortly. Okay.
Oh, okay. Have a good one.
Okay, man. Too. Vince, you there?
What's up, Rick?
You've been waiting patiently. I appreciate it, man. What's going on?
Man, everything's good. How's everything on your end?
It's good. It's a little hot here in Florida. It's supposed to get cold like next week, but nothing new. The real estate market is the high-end properties are really interesting right now. It's a lot of fun for what I'm doing on my side, but realtors all think they're going to get bailed out like before summer, and it ain't coming. But I will tell you, the low-end properties, they sell like we sell them still. Anything below 300,000 in Florida that's decent is gone. So the high-end stuff, it's going to take them a miracle. I'm watching high-end stuff go down, dropping like $100,000, and there's still no action. So it's we'll see what happens with it. But the problem is the cash buyers don't want to take the risk on the higher end stuff without an enormous discount, and it's hard to get a $400,000 or $500,000 discount on it. But I think it's coming by springtime. It's going to be that bad. So what's going on your side? How's business?
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait till the tables turn myself. I have I'm actually in the Central Florida area, but I do virtually in other places. So I have a contract I have a deal that's under contract right now.
Okay.
And so the funny thing about this situation is, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the funny thing about this situation is I put it on like the Facebook groups. It's definitely a deal. I put it at like a low offer, like a $5,000 spread, but hopefully I can make at least 13.
Okay.
And so I had like everybody and their mom contact me, and like this big wig in the city of that city, like been doing deals since 1997, thousands of deals. He calls me out in the group chat saying I was scammed because I was asking for a proof of funds and recent properties that owners have purchased in the past year.
Yeah.
And then I got on the phone with him the other day and we talked things out. But he was like I guess he's trying to muscle his way in to buy the property. And I told him like, hey, this property is gonna have an open house. That's what I wanted to ask you about was it has tenants in the property, but I want to do an open house. The owner doesn't mind. But how do I get those people in the property? Like, do I do like, hey, come between this hour? Because I do have a bird dog in that area. How should I go about that?
So are you doing this virtually?
Yes,
virtually or
this deal in particular.
Okay. So do you have somebody to help you out locally with it?
Mm-hmm.
So it really comes down to just managing your tenants. So if your owner's okay with it, that's usually the biggest obstacle. With the tenants, you got to understand though, like think about like where you live. You'd be a little bit wary about strangers walking through, like maybe, are there any pets involved?
No.
Okay. So no pets is a heck of a lot easier because the cat gets out, dogs can bite anyone. So what I'd probably do is get them a little gift. So you're right around Christmas. So maybe get them, have your bird dog or someone like get them some chocolates or something like that. You got to give them something, dude. Just be nice because you're kind of inconveniencing the heck out of them. I don't think they're going to leave the property. It's probably not a good idea because of the security issues. So just get like a box of those like really nice chocolates, the ones where you bite into and you never know what you're going to get. I don't know what they call those donuts. I would get them something, a gas card, something. And that way they don't bitch and just consider it a bribe so you can get people through there. And boy, I would shove everyone through there when you do it. So maybe it's just a local a gift card to like a Cracker Barrel or like a local restaurant, nothing high end, or maybe even like a $25 gas card. But And then the idea is like, have your bird dog, when he's there, his job's to keep the cash buyers away from the tenants. Tenants have a huge, big mouth and they talk too much. Now, I want tenants always to talk to me so I can get as much dirt on the house as I can so I can get the deepest discount. But if they engage with your cash buyers, it's a real problem for you. You don't want them to say it like you just don't. You want them to buy the house, not the tenants. Tenants can kill any buyer they want. So for that reason, find something to give them to keep them, like, consider it a bribe because that's what you're doing. And then when you give them that, is your bird dog, his job is to keep the two separate. Like, because tenants will go, yeah, we got this leak on this roof there. And Tuesday at 4:00, this wall starts banging. Every house has a unique feature that nobody wants to hear about when you sell it. And tenants know it better than anyone. And like when that information works well for us, it's great. But at that point, you just got to kind of keep them separate. And then I assume you're probably cutting the bird dog on like some of the profits because they're going to have to work. They're going to have to keep the tenants quiet, give them a bribe gift, and keep them separate from the cash buyers. And you want him to keep yanking the cash buyers in and out. And you want the cash buyers to see all the other cash buyers because it gets them excited. They're like I go fishing. If there's one fish and I'm looking at him, he won't bite one damn thing I throw at him. But the minute another fish comes in the area, he'll bite it just out of a possessive thing. Cash buyers do the same thing. I've had it done to me. It's a mental thing. So have them stumble over each other. So if you're setting them up.
Do you do it? Go ahead. I mean, cut you off. Right?
I set them up in like 15, 20-minute increments. I want them to step on each other. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. It's like an old Seinfeld episode where George is trying to break up with his girlfriend. So he schedules his real girlfriend with his new girlfriend. And he's like, oh my God, the worlds have intertwined. I'm busted. It's over. I get it. And you got to be like, but I will tell you, if someone's walking out there, go, that's a good deal. And they see another cash buyer and they'll turn around to your guy and go, I want this deal. What do I got to do to seal this deal up right now? And you got to have a clear communication. Go, listen, if you pay this, the deal's done. Like I don't have time to like do this back and forth. So have a number it's set, schedule them, 15, 20 minutes apart and just kind of the idea. So cash buyers always show up like 10, 15 minutes early. So that gives you a 5-10 minutes and let your bird dog know like what you're doing. So like he or she's not in shock. And there's something about when you put cash buyers and your seller's okay with it, your tenant's okay with it, man, mix them up, dude. Cause it is dynamite. FOMO kicks in. You know what that is, right?
Do you do it like the club, like the people standing outside? It
gets a little much, dude. I've actually seen them scrap over it. You just got to manage them. So, and I'll tell once I go, and then so you tell your bird dog, have the other ones look the outside of the property, and then only let one cash buyer in at a time. That way you can manage it, so they can kind of look around, and then so I used to look out the window. I go, man, that cash buyer's still here. He must really want this property. I don't know how I'm going to get rid of him. And you just like kind of do it. They all talk, man. Like FOMO, the fear of missing out. It works really well with cash buyers, and you're going to have to use every. Go ahead.
Well, that's another thing with this with that one buyer I was telling you about. That he said he's the king. He told me verbatim he's the kingpin of the city. So and he's like, he said, you showed my email in the group email to the other buyers. I don't want my email seen.
No.
I'm like, what? Like
stop. He's just being
okay.
I think he's just being a deep about it. Like cash buyers when they've been around a long time, they get real like diva like type. Like they're really like, how dare you sell a property to someone else other than me? Like no. The reality is you got to be careful. The guy who buys the most property, there's a reason for it, and you'll learn is one of the first guys I ever met in this business. I sold to my 36 properties in a row. And dude, I was about to kill him around the 30th property because I need a deeper discount. I need this. I need that. he got so used to my inner workings, it actually works against you. And you don't want the person that's buying all the properties because they're going to demand the deepest discount. I like to find that person that buys 1 or 2 properties a year. They like to fix it up themselves, or they keep it for their family. They will usually pay the most amount of money because they don't want to go on MLS and go through all that BS. So,
Okay.
need the warning, like when they're really senior buyers, they're a pain in the ass. And then when the market is like it is now, they're even worse. So like they never quite work out. Even in a good market, they're a pain in the butt. So use the cash buyers, find a gift within, $20-$30. That'll make your tenants happy, whatever it is. And then just use that as a bribery and then find the best cash buyer. And just, I'd put as many as you can through there because you have permission, which is the hardest part.
Right.
Got it?
So basically you're saying, yes, sir. So basically you're saying, so me and my brother already got agreement that I give him $500 for every deal I close, right? So how much in this situation, how much more would I add on to it to make it, make it make sense for him?
Well, I mean, what's the potential profit level on it? How much do you plan on making on it?
From 13 to
So throw him an extra 100, 150 bucks, like whatever you want to do. It's all relative. It's all relative of like what you promise. If he goes above and beyond the call of duty for this, take care of him. If he's a pain in the ass, go find somebody else to replace him. You will go through people like this. So if he's a good guy, just tell him, hey, here's what we're doing. I'm going to run as many as I can through here. Here's going to be your challenges, and here's what I need you to do. And when it's done, call me back, and we'll go from there. So listen, you can always, when you pleasantly surprise people, it's good. When you disappoint people, it's bad. So if you promised him $500 and he's had to go through a few more hoops than what the normal person is, go, listen, you send him the $500 and then you send him a separate check for like another $150, $200 and go, listen, I really appreciate you, man. I got more where these came from and I want to tie you into the profitability of it. Like, so just make it just an extra you do for someone. You do so much better when you just give people stuff and they don't expect it. The minute you tell them, I'm going to get you an extra $150, it's like, if it doesn't work out, it's going to be a nightmare for you. So keep the commitment, keep going, get him his 500. And then if that gets under contract, works well, and you want to get more money, then give the guy more money. That's how you keep good people around.
That's real.
Don't promise it up front because it gets too messy. It's like, so give him 500. And if you want to give him extra money, you may sometimes you make a crap load of money and then they really had to work doing like some of that gophering virtually. Like you want to reward them because you want to do this another 10 or 12 times and you don't want them to go, oh crap, Vince is calling me. He's going to make me do the work of like 10 realtors. So just take care of them. Understanding they got to put time and gas into it. And then maybe even like, you might have to get him a little Christmas gift while you're getting the tenants one. So you get the tenants a $25 gas card, get him one too. You got it. Just I'm telling you, when you're doing this virtually, guys, and you find someone that's really helping you go above and beyond, like take care of them, give them more than what you promised. Cause that's how you keep people really loyal to you. Like, oh my God, like I worked this, I didn't even expect this. And when you hear that, it's like, great. The other people that you go, hey, if you do this and that, I'll give you more. And then say you give them $2,000, they'll go like this. They go, is that it, Vince? Like that's it. I did all that for $2,000. I'm like, you opened the door. You opened the door. And I've gotten arguments. I had a guy virtually, one showing. I paid him $700.
Wow.
And I remember him saying, he goes, well, I thought I'd get at least half the deal. I'm like, so you wanted $8,000 for opening the door. Am I missing something? I go, I tell you what, you bring any deal to me, I will more than gladly split it with you. And I tell everybody that. I tell my own employees, you bring me a deal, I don't have to spend any money marketing. Right down the middle. That's the right thing to do. That's why I offer it with most of you guys. I need no hassle for that, when we do it. So just pleasantly surprise them. It goes all. Don't you like to be pleasantly surprised as opposed to being disappointed?
Yeah.
It's a rare quality in human beings these days. So go ahead and do it. You'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah. And I have one more situation.
Okay.
I'm dealing with a property. Because like I said, I'm in the Central Florida area, so a lot of these areas in the area has been flood damage. So how do I go about? I was driving for dollars, put a sticky sign on the property, and the guy called me this morning, told me the situation, and so I'm like, trying to get to like, what do y'all want to get for it? He's like, we don't know. You just had to stick it on the door, so we're just seeing, what your offer would be.
So you need to find out if he's going through an insurance claim or not on that property. That would be question number one. And then ask him, how much of a claim did you put in for? They'll usually tell you. They don't care. 30 grand, 50 grand. And then once you know what that number is, that should be the estimate to fix the house up and just reverse engineer it. That's all you got to do. And then properties like that, I always put upon final inspection of a walkthrough, because sometimes they just deteriorate like for months, if not years. So you could write a contract, but say, listen, I got to have my guy come by and inspect it. And by the way, properties like that, I don't put there is no like inspection period. I go, for me to move forward with the property, I have to my contractor has to approve the final walkthrough, because you could have like serious things of mold, all sorts of stuff. I bought them like that. They're a lot of work. So just find out what their claim is for, and you can kind of use that as a number and then work it back from there. And then understanding you have options. They can actually subrogate the claim. They can sell the property and still get their, let's say it was 30,000. And then you just take the discounted amount on the property. That's an option, but insurance companies are really slow to pay these people. So just find out what the damage to the property is. Once you have the numbers, understand they just take a lot more time than a regular property. It will not close overnight.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell.
Yeah, if they don't want to keep it, go, okay, then you can figure out the ARV minus the cost of the insurance for the replacement. But the problem is sometimes if 6 months goes by on those properties, especially when they're vacant, they get 10 times worse. So I've had a property had $50,000 of flood damage. They waited 6 months. It wound up being like $150,000 because the mold overtook the entire house.
God dang.
So I use that as incentive to get the deal done, because if you wait too long, the problem, so it's like a decaying tooth, right? If you don't get that cavity filled, it'll start to infect. You'll have to get a root canal and it's going to go on the other teeth, whereas we could have just nipped it in the bud.
Right.
Also, you have market conditions that are deteriorating. That's another incentive. So you can always ask them, what if we could strike a deal where you could actually just keep the insurance claim money, and then I just buy the house for what it's worth now, and then I'm open to doing the deal that way. Now, you don't have the final say on that. Insurance companies are a real nightmare these days, but for 2 years, that's the only way I did deals. So we got hit with 3 hurricanes in like a 1 year period. So it was like, I just learned how to subrogate insurance claims. So it's just like on a car. Once they inspect the car and do everything and get an estimate on it, they're done with it. The insurance company doesn't give a crap.
Okay.
They just want to close the case out. And then occasionally they negotiate it with lawyers.
Well, yeah, that's what you're saying. Something about they would send an agreement to an attorney, and I'm saying to myself, y'all doing that because of insurance, or I mean, I didn't ask them about.
They all argue it. So, and sometimes the insurance, the attorneys for the homeowner doesn't want them to sell the house until they come to an agreement, but that's not up to you. So, like you can't give them direction and stress on it. So, most people, they get a claim on their property, they usually take it because it's just easy and they need the money. That people who don't agree with the claim, they hire a lawyer and then they fight with the insurance companies. They usually don't get a lot more. They get like $10,000 more. But remember, in most cases, the attorney keeps half that money plus his attorney fees. So it's like they get $2,000 or $3,000 more. You just got the attorney paid. That's all you did. So find out with them and write it. And like, remember, not all your offers are ever going to stick. You just want the option, because eventually, if that property is going to get sold, you want to be in the front of the line. That's it.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is they put a claim in, and then the insurance gives them a number, or do they give the insurance a number?
So the insurance comes up with an estimate number, and then they haggle about it a little bit, and then the homeowner is going to say, well, that's not enough. And the insurance company might give them a little bit more, and then like, I'm going to go get a lawyer, and then they get a lawyer, and then and then you get two lawyers, one for the insurance company and one for the homeowner. They argue it out in court. 99% of the time they settle because nobody wants to spend the money because it gets really expensive to litigate those claims. So they can argue it out once the damage is done. The problem is if the house is sitting vacant and the mold is growing and getting worse, a $50,000 claim can turn into a $100,000 claim in as little as 3 to 6 months. And that's where you have to write a contingency upon final inspection and approval of the buyer, period. That way, if it takes 2 years, you can come back and look at it. I had one, I waited 1.5 years, the exact same scenario. Insurance company's gotten a massive leak from a roof. And I had to go back and I had to adjust my offer by $25,000 because the mold got so bad. She's like, well, I thought your offer would be the same. I go, I told you, like, at some point you have to mitigate the damage. So in Florida, if you don't run AC in a house, mold grows everywhere. So if mold's already growing, it's like a petri dish. It's going to explode. And then there's a certain point where the mold gets so bad, the house is unrecoverable. You just have to demo it. It gets into the wood, it gets into the fiber, it gets into the drywall, and it's a real hazard to human. And you could never sell the house. So just make sure you have that final contingency in there. Like a buyer has to approve final inspection to close on the house. It gives you the ability to renegotiate it if a lot of time goes by. And then also look at market conditions and the property is degrading, and you can use it as a lever to move things on faster. Most people just want to be done with claims on a house. It's very, especially if they lived in it personally, it's very emotional for them. They just want to be done. Got it?
Yeah, that's my thing. Yes, sir. That's my biggest thing is, he was saying that it needed to be fully gutted out. And I'm saying, well, how do you know? I guess somebody told him he's going to be like at least 100,000. He said it needs to be fully gutted. And he's like saying that we can't get a claim check for that. And he wants to get like an SBA loan to fix it. He said he don't want to go through with that.
Well, he's got to make the choice if he wants to sell it or not. So you can't make him sell it to you. That's not really your option. So if he wants to do it, you can facilitate it, and that's what you got to be there for. But if he's still hemming and hawing, you're just going to have to wait him out. That's how sellers are.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out, how do you get that 100,000. I'm guessing that that's the claim they probably put in for, or maybe they got a less amount back. So I have to figure that out and see.
No. Yeah, and I mean that could be low or that could be high. You don't know. So just ask and see what you can get out of it, okay?
All right. Appreciate it, Rick.
Okay, Vince. Have a good one, man. I'll see you, bud. Okay, guys. I appreciate you coming on here. Guys, make sure you are subscribed to my channel, Rick Ginn, and my son's channel, Zach Ginn. And what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Tuesday. Me and Zach are doing a live tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time. A little bit changed for the holidays, but we'll be on Tuesday. I know Zach's got a really good topic for us. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. So guys, come back, join us tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time for me and Zach. We'll be on the Flip with Rick channel. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rick Ginn, and my son's channel, Zach Ginn. And guys, go out there, get some deals, have fun. And guys, be safe.